Now, when it comes to classroom necessities, most educators point to the so-called 3 Rs, writing, reading and arithmetic. Well, now it seems it's 4, with racism also often at the top of the agenda. A GBNews special investigation reveals quite how politicised our classrooms have become, from decolonising the curriculum to teaching primary school kids that white privilege is a fact. GBNews culture and social affairs editor Inaya Folarin Iman joins me now. Inaya, fascinating report. I mean, it's something I don't have children. I'm worried about it. What is going on in our schools?
Yeah, so following the tragic death of George Floyd, race became a very heated topic of political conversation, and education became a focal point. And as you rightfully mentioned, the decolonising, so-called, of the curriculum became an issue about how British colonial history is taught in schools. And since then, there's been a lot of concern, particularly by parents and some teachers also, about how this race fixation really within society is really impacting children. So in late 2020, Kemi Badenoch, the Equalities Minister, made an intervention in the House of Commons saying teaching white privilege as a fact to children was illegal. And also, this year in February 2022, we've had Nadine Zahawi, the Education Secretary, also issue guidance about politicised teaching. But we've obtained images over the last few months that actually demonstrates that this is not just a small issue in some schools, but this is actually potentially widespread and gaining momentum, as was just shown an image of actually what was shown to primary schools that says racism is about power that is deeply embedded within society. How do primary school kids really even know what that means? A lot of the time that is not even understood or is contested within the adult world, let alone to primary school kids. It also said, for example, racism was started by white people a long time ago in order to effectively make non-white people feel different. I mean, that's a very simplistic definition, which is very open to interpretation and can easily lead to primary school kids thinking, well, all white people, or they may not even know what race means. So oftentimes it's racialising kids before they've even actually encountered any racism within society that they potentially may not ever. So many parents have spoken to me and said that oftentimes when they raise this issue, they are met with a wall of silence. One parent told me that when they actually asked about some of the materials, they got a reply from the school saying, so you don't believe in equality then? They talked about feeling blacklisted and demoralised because oftentimes when they raise this, they are made to feel that they are against racism, when actually many of these parents are against a particular idea of how racism is within society and how to deal with it. And I think that's very different.
But where is this coming from? And how come schools think they've got the impunity to act in this way? Because it strikes me, you get out of London and go into the shires and people don't care about this stuff. It's a London thing. It's a metropolitan elite thing. So what on earth are schools doing, breaking the law and then saying to parents, you can't question us? How do they get the audacity to do that? And who's behind this?
Well, it seems to be coming from a whole range of directions. Some of the teachers we spoke to says that the culture is changing very fast and there is this kind of cultural pressure, often external, to just do something. And many teachers, they're not familiar with conversations about racism, and so they don't question the assumptions and implications about many of the materials that they bring in. So many of them just don't know and just want to do a good thing. But there's others that are very activist-oriented, whether that's in the National Education Union, but also within teaching themselves, who often utilise this as an opportunity to teach what their view is about racism. And I think this whole idea about what education's meant to be about, transmitting knowledge from one generation to another, doing it in an impartial way. We all have biases, but recognising that you present a range of different views is what I think is increasingly being lost, according to many of the teachers and campaigners we spoke to.